Let glory shine. From the ashes I rise. Every scar a story, every tear baptized. This is my freedom. This is my climb. Let glory shine. It's the power inside.
Hello and welcome back to Let Glory Shine. I'm your host, Martha Glory, and I'm so excited to be here for another episode of Let Glory Shine. Today, I have a special guest, Sheri Jost, and I'm going to welcome her to the stage. I can't wait for you to hear a little bit about her heart, her story, her testimony, and what she's up to now and how she's contributing to her mission, her vision that God's put on her heart. So, welcome, Sheri.
Thank you, Martha, so much for having me on your show.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you're here. So, tell us what you're doing. What's your mission? What's your vision? Like, let's just jump into it.
All right. About 2 years ago, maybe three, I decided to write a book based on the story of my life and how my girls and I survived domestic violence, PTSD, abuse, and trauma. And so within that first intro book, it has become a huge shining light for so many people. I've been able to reach out and help so many organizations, and I've had so many wonderful testimonies. I've been able to help individuals and families. It has been a huge, huge blessing for everything that God has, I guess God has put in my way to overcome what I have overcome with myself and my girls so that we can help others.
I hear you, and I resonate with that so deeply because I think that in my own life as well, some of the deepest, hardest things that I've ever been through, God has directly used them for me to help somebody else, right? And so in the time when we go through them, they're painful, right? Like the example that I use often is when I miscarried my baby. I lost my only baby, only pregnancy I've ever had. I lost to miscarriage. And then within 2 months, I started coaching this woman, and she was grieving from a miscarriage. And it was that moment of like, holy crap, God, this is too quick. Like, you're already putting this in front of me, but God's like, you had this experience. You know how to hold space for her. You wouldn't have known how to hold space for her if you hadn't gone through it, right? And so I know that you know what that feels like. You can resonate with others' pain of domestic abuse or domestic violence because you've been through it. You've walked that road. So talk to me about what that means to be able to say, I'm not the victim, and then now I am serving to help others.
It has been a surreal moment. It has been just an amazing journey. I have been so, so blessed to be able to help others through the experiences that I have been through in life. Um, because when I work with clients, individuals, or even, visiting organizations, when you see the aha moment in each person's eyes, because they're like, wow, you actually went through all of this. You actually experienced this. You actually know what I am living. And I always, explain, I will never walk your shoes. You will never walk my shoes. But we have walked very, very similar shoes. And now, because of what we endured in the past and what we went through, I am now able to resonate, as you said, with others. And so it really makes them feel like we're building a rapport, like we have a conversation. We're friends now, and we can have conversations, back and forth. So it really has helped with that. And I mean, it's not, a lot of people come to me and they'll say, well, I've kind of went to see a counselor or a therapist, but they can't relate to what I'm saying. They're just kind of sitting behind the desk, taking notes and agreeing with me. And the fact that you and I can have a conversation and just, I'll share mine, you share yours, that sort of situation means a lot to people, because people really want to feel comfortable with you, and they want you to be honest. And And for individuals that are really, really, truly struggling, that is the biggest overcome you have to do, is to be able to trust somebody else, to be able to open your heart up again, and to be able to relive those experiences because they're so personal. You want somebody that understands, because this is your life. This is what you endured. This is what happened. And you need somebody to be able to relate on all levels. So the experiences and the events, although I would never wish them upon anybody, I believe 100% that God put me in each and every situation and helped me get through them for his will.
Yeah. Yeah. To prepare us for what we would do in the future, right? To
Yes, ma'am.
serve. Um, I say that there's no purpose to heal if we're not going to evolve and then to serve, right? There's just no purpose. Like, why would you need to heal if you don't have the understanding that it allows us to evolve, to grow, to learn the lessons, and so that we can serve others? Because that, in the end, that's what really matters is how do we give back after the lessons that we've learned. So, what is the name of your book and where can people find it?
The name of my book is Stronger Together: Walking Through PTSD, Trauma, and Abuse. Um, Recently, I have been just signing books for individuals and doing a lot of book signings, and people have been asking me, and I have been shipping them books to their addresses of whatever their preference is. I have been honored and blessed because a lot of my friends, coworkers, individuals that I have met have just been wanting to pay it forward with the holidays and everything. So I have been buying my books by bulk and just shipping them out everywhere that they like to go. So
Okay. So,
it's
how do
been
people get a book from you?
all they have to do is go on to my website. I have my um, email address on there. I have my phone number on there. They can feel free to call. They can just a lot of people hit me up on Facebook Messenger. Um, Anywhere. I can give you my email address for the website after the show or now. It's up to
Okay,
you.
I'll put it in the show notes for them then. I'll put your
Okay.
website and your email address in the show notes for them so that they can, if they're interested in getting a book or contacting you, they can follow up with you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So when I said, tell me something, the Acorn version of what your mission, what your vision is, you told me in the form that I sent you, it's to save a life. So tell
Yes.
me what that means, where that came from, and how you're like walking that out, that faith walk.
Well, currently, right now, like I said, I have started my own LLC. So I see a lot of individuals, clients, organizations, and it's really just one step at a time. It's helping one person at a time. It's listening to them. It's guiding them. It's crying with them. It's it's just walking, their journey. It's listening, understanding. And I have been very, very blessed to have a lot of different individuals in my life. I actually have learned things from everyone as much as they've learned things from me, I think. So that's really an eye opener as well. I really have enjoyed listening to everybody's journeys. And it is, we're just saving one life at a time. I go back to sharing my past sometimes with different situations, different scenarios, and letting people see that light of how I overcame, of how the girls resonated now, of how they overcame, of how they're even stronger, and they're making such wise decisions. I mean, don't get me wrong, we all make those decisions sometimes in life where we're like, wow, I can't believe I really did that one. But, I feel like even when we make those, they're for a purpose. They're there to help us grow, help us see, help us have wisdom of understanding, and really that those roadblocks or those little bumps in the road were a part of God's plan for us to see now what salvation, redemption, it actually means, what being a light to somebody actually means.
Yeah. I want to back up a little bit because I think what you've shared is really important. You've mentioned your girls a couple of times and their own healing journeys and writing the book with your girls. So how old are your girls now?
They are 22 and 18.
22 and 18.
Mhm.
There's something really powerful. As a mother, I can imagine that your heart was always to protect your babies, right? To protect
Yes.
your girls. At the same time, they saw things, I'm sure, or were part of things, I'm sure, that that could be damaging or could have hurt them or whatever, right? But including them in this healing process, you are ending generational curses. You are breaking generational bondages that could have spun their lives out of control in another way. I know that because I've seen it over and over and over. So, what a beautiful example to say, no, this ends with me. I'm never going to this ends with, I'm never going to allow you to be in a relationship like me because you're going to love yourself enough. You're going to love God enough to never put up with this, right? Or we're going to end it here. So talk to me about that. That's so empowering to me that you have made that conscious decision. I can tell you have.
Um, the healing process has been a very long one. It has been, there's a lot of times it's been very traumatic. The part of the healing process that really has to be understood by people is you're not going to be able to move on and to heal until you allow yourself, but also that you allow your brain to understand that this can't happen anymore. Um, I was at a point where I lost family, I lost friends, I lost pretty much everything in my life because of the decision to stay where I was. Now, the decision to stay where I was also because of my children. But in the process, you lose yourself sometimes. So God blessed me enough that I didn't lose my children in the process. I didn't lose myself. But I do know a lot of individuals I worked with that have gave it all up, including, their children and this and that, because they could not accept yet inside that they deserved more,
Yeah.
that they're they have better self-esteem than that. And it's a very hard process to understand because when you've been beaten down that hard, when you have been neglected that long, when you have heard these words over and over again, and you have felt every lash over and over again, it's very, very hard to picture yourself living in any other world, any other environment. And I've also had individuals ask me, well, why would so and so go back? And I pulled them out of there and they were good, but now they're back and this and that. And I only speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else, but I know, and understand that when you're down that road and that is what yourself has gotten used to, your body has gotten used to, your mind has gotten used to. When
Your
you go out
nervous
into
system has gotten used to.
yes, exactly. Your adrenaline. So when you go out into that world and somebody's all of a sudden nice to you, you're like, well, this is not how it's supposed to be. This
Yeah.
is this is weird. Like this is not good because your body doesn't understand the good from the bad now. So we go back into what we know is our what we think is our safe zone.
Yeah.
And so because of that, that is why a lot of individuals go back in because they're scared for the other side. They don't know the other
Right.
side to be a good side.
Yeah.
So it's reprogramming your brain, but also through reprogramming yourself, the healing process takes effect. But not recognizing that right away is sometimes very, very scary. And it creates almost turmoil inside. And you don't know which way to go. So you're like, oh, I'll go back to my safe zone, which was what I thought was my safe zone. And so the healing process kind of stops a little bit. And then that trauma piece picks up a little bit more than the healing process. And you're kind of going back and forth again. So it's very hard. So that's why I say, until you're actually physically ready, you won't leave your situation because you're scared. You have a fear. You maybe have, well, is this going to be accepted? There, you don't. You're all over the map. So I don't ever get. I don't want to say I don't ever get upset. I don't. That doesn't sound good. But I don't ever feel like anybody is going to leave or should leave before they're ready because it's just going to mess up the situation even more. Your brain's just going to continue to play all these extra tricks on you. So when people ask me, I simply say they're just not ready yet. I know that's really hard for people to understand. Why would somebody want to stay like that? Why would somebody want to stay in that situation?
Yeah.
But
That's
that's when I reiterate again, until you walk their shoes, please don't judge them.
yeah.
You it's not fair. But
Yeah.
I know people will anyway. People judge me, I'm sure, all the time. But you have to be able to walk that person's shoes. And until that person is ready to overcome, you cannot. But when I can go in and I can have a conversation with you and I can just help you see one piece of light, even if it's not, you're going to overcome this and get out right now. It's just something. I already saved your life.
Yep. Well, you have you said so many nuggets that I want to circle back on. You know, the comfortability of our own crap and our own pain is often easier than the fear of the unknown, right? The fear of the unknown is scary. At least even when you're in a bad situation, even when you know what to expect, right? Even when you're in the worst of situations, if that's all you've known, that's what you can expect. The fear of the unknown is way scarier.
Yes. Yes.
And so I love that you brought that up. The other thing that you said is, you know, you can't convince somebody that they're ready to leave. You cannot convince somebody that they have the strength, the capabilities, the copability, any of those things to be able to get out of their situation. They have to be ready. They have to make the conscious, intentional decision that says, I'm done. Come hell or high water, I'm out of regardless of what the situation is. For me, it was a cult. For you, it's domestic violence, right? So, but we had to make the conscious decision that said, I'm done. I will never allow these things to happen to me again, right? And so being a trauma informed coach, you doing the coaching that you do, right? We run into people all the time that say, I'm ready, I'm ready. They ain't, right? But
No.
then when you start asking them certain questions, they start pointing fingers and they start making excuses. And I have to be the one that says, you know, this is not a knock on you. This is not like putting you down, but you're not ready. And when you are, I'm here to hold your hand. I'm here to walk this next step with you, but you're not ready. You have to make it has to be an intentional decision. I cannot save you from your own journey. I cannot fix you. I cannot save you. I can't, right? Like, that's not my job. My job is to hold you accountable and to walk alongside you and support you. But until you're ready to save yourself and allow God to save you, you have that has to be a conscious, intentional decision.
Right, correct. And in a lot of through my book, you'll have to grab it. Martha, I'll have to send you a book copy. But a lot of the book that and this is just intro book, my second and third book should be out next year. But within the intro book, there was a lot of every page has scripture, every page has the resources, every page has the journaling pages. So when you're in the book, and they're only 4 chapters long, you can just read the chapter and then you can just do your own journaling, your own questions, your own whatever it is you want. And then, you can go to the website and we can talk about it and we can answer questions and we can, start a whole little conversation. But I really feel like it's important once you read those chapters to go back on the journaling pages and just put your thoughts out there. They're your own thoughts. Nobody else is going to take your book from you, but it's your stuff. And then go back every once in a while and look and be like, wow, I did that little step that I just put in that book. Maybe it's a couple months later, but you will see yourself grow.
Yeah.
And then you see the salvation and the redemption part of God's plan just kind of working, and you didn't even know it was happening. It's just those little pieces that add up to that big piece. And you're just taking steps and you're healing and you're saving your own life, and it's just
Literally.
when I see individuals, like I see the spark, I'm like, oh my God, like I get chills. I'm like, my whole life is made just in that moment when I see the fact that there was just a big aha.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't explain it, but it's like the best feeling in the world. So
So if somebody was coming out of as brand new out of a domestic violence situation, what is the first step that you would offer them in your program or reclaiming themselves or whatever how would you lead them to their first step if they're just coming out of a domestic abuse relationship?
I think if we were just coming out of out of that relationship, I think the most important thing, the first thing is you want to find somebody that you're comfortable with in order for them to sit down and have a conversation with you, listen non-judgmental. That is the first step. Sharing one piece of information. I'm not saying that somebody's going to come out of this whole thing and be like, oh, hey, let me share my deepest, darkest. This is what I went through. This is no, 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 no. If you did that, I would be, you're, what's going on? You couldn't have just came out of a relationship. I don't personally think. I mean, maybe you can, but I would think you would not share anything that's going to be deep, deep. I would think maybe something on the surface, like, oh yeah, hey, I came out of this and I lost friends. Something very, very simple. Okay, well, let me meet you where you are. Let's talk about it. Because eventually, just talking to somebody is going to make them think back, back, back. I actually met with a friend a couple weeks ago, and we were sitting and we were talking, and she's like, Sherri, she's like, I just think I'm not getting anywhere with my therapist. What do you kind of think about this and that? And I was like, well, I go, I don't know. And I started kind of asking her questions, and then I kind of drew a little brain map kind of on a napkin. And she started going back and back and back. And she goes, oh, and she just had that moment. And I go, what? She goes, that's not where it stemmed from. She goes, that's the root of my trauma. And I go, yeah. And she goes, how did you do that? And I go, because what you were telling me was what you already told your therapist, right? She said, yeah. And I said, so your therapist didn't ask you to dig any deeper. She goes, no. And I go, well, there you go. There's your beginning. She goes, oh my God, this whole time I thought it was here and it's back here. And I said, yeah. So it's just that one specific moment. But when you start talking about things and you feel comfortable with somebody, that's when you're going to start like reliving everything. And unfortunately in life, it sucks, but you do have to relive a lot to move forward. So it's basically meeting you where you are, building a rapport, having a conversation, listening to each other. That's why I will have a conversation with you. I will be honest 100%. I will share what I went through. I will tell you everything because I want you to be able to heal. I've already done the work. I mean, I can always do more work. Let's face it, we all can. But I've done enough work where I know I can relive my story with you. Yes, you may see a tear or two from me. It is a real story. But then after that, after building that rapport, after having that conversation, then we can go back a little bit. If I can go back a little bit, you can go back a little bit. But you have to have that 100% honesty and trust before we can move on. So if you are just coming out of that, you're going to have to build a rapport with someone.
Yeah.
And I would almost suggest it almost be like a third party. It doesn't necessarily have to be where you're going to somebody's office and they're writing notes down and this and that. You can have a conversation, but just not with a close person, because that's not going to be a situation where you're going to get personal because that person knows you.
Right. Right.
So
And you need somebody that's not going to judge either side. They're just going to be able to hold space and meet you where you're at. Yeah,
yes.
That's an important understanding. So the back up again, you were talking about the importance of having to relive certain things in order to heal from them, in order to release them. Yes, that's been my experience as well, is that you cannot heal what you don't bring to the light. You
Yes.
cannot heal in darkness, right? So what you keep packed away in the darkness, you can't heal that. You have to bring it to the light. You have to feel it. You have to heal it in order to release it, right? And when I understood what that meant, it was really scary, because why the heck do I want to have to relive all of that crap, that pain, that torture, that humiliation, that's those scary things, right? Why would I need to but the truth is because they're stored in our bodies on a cellular level, right? They're stored in our bodies. The memories are stored in our bodies, and the triggers are stored in our bodies. So whether we want to address them or not, they will come up. They will bubble up in one way or another, and then we get to choose how we're going to respond to them. So I realized, instead of letting it bubble up and become a trigger, and then me wigging out and going into anxiety or depression or anger or rage or any of those things, I got to start addressing these things one by one. I got to start letting it bubble up. I got to start letting it come up so I can bring it to the light, so I can acknowledge it, so I can heal it, so I can release it, and so I can heal from it and let it go. So that was, I think, a really important thing that you shared as well.
Thank
Um,
you.
the last part, we didn't fully finish the conversation about your daughters. And so are they continuing to do work in order to make sure that this never happens to them, so that they're more prepared for their own journeys ahead because they saw the strength of their mom and the work that you're doing?
They have been through an excessive amount of counseling and therapy. We have diagnosis on top of our trauma. So we do go to like a DBT EMDR situation, and we have to be able to self-regulate in order to meet you where you are and relive everything again. It is not an easy process.
Nope.
Um, I will tell you, probably 3 years ago, I did another podcast. After that podcast, I listened to the podcast. And that was the first time, Martha, in all seriousness, that was the first time that I ever heard myself. Now, I've told my story probably 20 different times. I've been with counselors, therapists, whatever you want to say. Um, but that was the first time I heard my voice back. And that was one of the biggest aha healing moments I had, because I sat there and I thought, oh my God, I I did that. That was my life, and I overcame that, and I'm alive. Like, I am alive. I've been through all that, and I'm alive still. And so I just cried for like 40 minutes. I'm just like, this is because I never listened to my voice come back
Yeah.
before. I never
You took
listened to
your
that
power
story.
back. You took
Mhm.
your power back. You took your voice back. I remember the moment where I first heard my voice and I was like, is that me? Like, I feel it. I know exactly what you're talking about because I never felt that strength until I heard myself. And then I was like, damn, girl, good job. Like, you've done the work. So girl, I hear you. I resonate with that so deeply because yes, I remember that moment. I hope to always remember that moment because it was powerful, because it was
Yes.
so powerful. Wow, Sheri, I am so happy to have gotten connected with you. I'm so happy to
Thank
have
you.
that our paths have crossed. I'm so proud of the work that you're doing. It's so aligned with the mission and vision that God's put on my heart as well. As we get ready to wrap up the show, I always ask my guests the same question. As you know, the show's name is Let Glory Shine. And so I want you to answer, what does it mean for Sheri to let her glory shine?
Oh my gosh. It means that God has given me so much healing, so much strength, and so much forgiveness on all of my past that I have been through. And the journey was long. He didn't give up on me, I didn't give up on him. And I think that it's just the shining, the light, the hope that he's always there no matter what. I mean, I tell people the story sometimes, back in the Bible where, Jesus felt like he was alone walking around and just wandering around. And, for 7 years, I'd walk the same path with my dog, and I would just pray and pray and pray for God to get me out of the situation. And he didn't answer. And I was like, and for 7 years, and then after 7 years, I don't want to say I was free, but I was free of part of what I was praying for. I mean, I had still a lot of journey to go, but that part, I was free. So I feel like it's not that he never listens, he's always there, but sometimes he just really has to put all of his work into a whole process. And so he's just taking his time to make it the perfect process when you do find your freedom, when you do find the light, when you do find the hope. And it's a big deal. So his timing is always perfect, even though I know sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, it's taking forever. Yeah, it does take forever. I can tell you I went through 7 years of it,
Yeah,
but at the end, it was the perfect process for me to get out. So if he's going to help you and he's going to help your children, he's got to make that process as smooth as possible. So,
absolutely. I love that. Thank you again so much, Sheri, for being on my show. And thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you next week. Same place, same station. Good night. Let glory shine.
Let glory shine. From the ashes I rise. Every scar a story, every tear baptized. This is my freedom. This is my climb. Let glory shine. It's the power inside. This is your prosperity era, where dreams align with grace, abundance flows like rivers. You've stepped into your place. Rise, reign, and remember, you were born to shine. Welcome to your moment, Prospera, it's time.
We hope you enjoyed today's show on Prospera TV Network. Make it a point to visit us on YouTube and catch all your favorite shows anytime you want. Interested in hosting a show of your own? Or advertising your business on our network? Contact Elena Rodriguez.